Hello, good morning and welcome to a snowy but sunny Winterberg in Germany. A picture postcard look to this German track for the first FIBT Wiesmann World Cup race in Europe this season. And we are heading into run 2 of the women's bobsleigh competition to decide this 4th gold medal of the year. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me NBC Olympic commentary expert John Morgan. And John, track record-breaking conditions here in Winterberg.
Yeah, in the first heat, everybody was going faster than they'd been in practice, including the Belgian sled here. Crashed in the first run, went across the finish line. Their athletes are angry with themselves, but they should start the second run. Here's a surprise. 5th place into the first heat. The Austrians had the 14th best start time. On the bottom, she had the best speed, and Christina Hengster is starting to prove to everybody that she can really drive a bobsled. Well, Kaylee Humphries, well, she does what she normally does. She comes down the track very, very fast. 3rd place, the end of the first run, which is surprising. It's the first heat she's lost all year. But here's another big surprise, Alana Myers and Katie Eberling. Myers broke the track record at the start, and at the bottom, broke the track record at the bottom by a lot. And everybody was pretty shocked until Schneiderheinz came along for Germany. She started 11th in the field, had that tap at the start, but all the way down the track, kept on accelerating to a point where she had the best speed on the bottom, and she beat the Americans by 1/100th of a second.
Well, John, track record broken 3 times this morning. It's now half a second faster, this track, than it was yesterday or the day before. And as you can see, very tight at the top of this field. Anna Schneiderheinz by just 100th, and Kaylee Humphries 3rd place, but she's only 500ths away from the lead.
Yeah, that's close. I mean, the track record broke 3 times. The Dutch broke it. They were the first ones down. And great conditions here for sliding. You can see the athletes. It's pretty cold up there. The sun's out. There's a perfect conditions. And Martin, this place is known for more rain than it is winter conditions, even though it's Winterberg.
Yeah.
But the air, ice control, absolutely perfect. Jasmine Fenelator in the United States didn't have a very good first run.
I'll tell you what, the sun this morning, I mean, stunning sunrise this morning in a cloudless sky, the moon in one corner and the sun coming up in the other, just put a smile on everybody's face. And the girls were really aware that the track was so much quicker yesterday and was going to be so much quicker today, so they all knew they'd have to be on their marks. Eva Willemark, the only one to get caught out really badly in the labyrinth. We'll have to wait and see whether they fancy taking another run. They did cross the finish line. If you cross it even upside down, you are legally allowed to complete the next run. So they could go, and our 20th and final sled will be the leader, Anja Schneiderheinz, defending the smallest measurable lead possible, just 100th of a second ahead of the 2nd place sled of Alana Myers.
I think the whole theme of this second run is all these former brakemen that are now drivers producing unbelievable start times, and they're on the top of the leaderboard.
So here we go. 20 sleds will compete. Eva Willemark and Wendy van Leuven of Belgium, who crashed at the end of the first run, will go in the second heat. They're probably not feeling as bruised now as they will be when they wake up tomorrow morning. And for Eva, this is a chance to right what she knows was a mistake in that first run.
I think it was a brakeman, Wendy van Leuven's first ever World Cup event. They've been on the Europa Cup, driving a Latvian sled. Start time, 5:91. That's if there's anything. Well, they had a 5:76 start time in the first run. 5:91 might be relative to the, they just got beat up.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's any lack of will. I think perhaps the mind is willing and the flesh is just a bit battered after that tumble dryer experience in the first heat.
Good quiet lines up top of this track. You have to be quiet. There's a couple uphill sections up at the top. It's slow up top. But here on the end of the finish of the Kreisel, we talk about a slingshot effect to the bottom part of this short 1,300-meter track.
97.7 kilometers
This is where she made her mistake.
Good speed, though.
10. She's late. She's late on 11. 12. Watch out.
She's going to haul it off yet. She got it in under control.
That's where she crashed in the first run.
And she was really beat up in the crash, but she was more beat up about making the mistake that led to the crash. She knew when she got out of the sled exactly what she'd done wrong, and she got it right that time. Well, this is the thing, John. Get back on the horse that threw you, and that's exactly what they've done.
Well, she's 7,600's better in the second run than the first run. This is the mistake in 9. Look, a little high here. Look at her pull across. She gets down to a flat part of that curve, and that's where she was a little bit late here, but that's where she corrected very well in the second run. She crashed in the corner coming up. This is the 3-corner labyrinth. That's the second part of the labyrinth. This is the third, and this is where she crashed in the first run.
Still a fraction late, but she tidied it up. She gets a down, and she will score points for that. Eva Willemark of Belgium then has safely completed the heat. She leads. Next up, Oana Giacanu of Romania. Now, the 2 Romanian sleds making their World Cup debut for the season here. They've been racing in Europe up until now, rather than in North America with the rest of the World Cup Tour.
The Romanians, as I always say, do more with less than anybody out here. Dresden sled, that's an old Dresden sled, DSD Dresden. Dresden used to, ooh, there's a mistake. Dresden used to be the East German aircraft manufacturer. And once the wall came down, they started devoting themselves to building bobsleds, and used to be in the 90s, 75% of the sleds on tour were Dresdens. Now, the more Wimmers and Singers are the sleds that people can buy. She should beat the Dutch sled, or the Belgian sled at the bottom.
Well, she had over half a second in hand from the first heat, but of course the Belgians were slower because they crashed. She's making a lot of mistakes here.
Mistakes, not a lot of good speed, and here's the tricky part of the track, curve 10.
Do you know what? I think the Belgians...
11, ooh, she's late there, 12.
Going to take this. She's gone behind.
Yeah,
she will drop to the bottom of the top 20. So that might put a little bit more of a smile on Eva Willemark's face. She does go behind, a 58.86. A very loose run, John. She hit just about everything there was to hit on the way down. If there was a wall, she rubbed it, and she knows. Look at the way she tips her head back in dismay with herself.
Well, you know when you get to the bottom where you made your mistakes.
Well, hers were too many to count.
Look at that skid here on the Kreisel. In the Kreisel, that's a no-no. That's where you want to use this curve to a slingshot effect onto the bottom. And here's, she drives over. Look at the left-hand side. She's trying to get over the take on the curve. This is the middle part of the labyrinth. Here's the third part of the labyrinth. Watch her come over to the left. Let it keep coming, and see her tap right before that. Yeah. When you see him tap before the wall, that's before the take on. That pushes you away into the middle of the curve. You have to steer more.
Next up is the third of our sleds, 17th in the first heat. This is World Cup rookie Maria Constantine with Andrea Greco, her brakewoman. Sled borrowed from Romania's Paul Neagu. He's their coach on the right-hand side of your shot. He lives here, has done for over 20 years. This is one of his higher sleds.
His son will be in the 2-man competition.
He will indeed. Well, now, these two girls, Romania 2, World Cup debut. They beat their more experienced teammates in the first heat. So they'll be looking to do that again here.
Well, the start time, 5:96. It's slower than their teammates.
Slower. The first 3 sleds have been a little slower. I wonder whether the ice is just a little softer at the top now than it was in the cold of the early morning.
Well, they've got a 1-second lead on the sled at the bottom. In this track, 1 second in hand is a lot of money in the bank.
But of course, our current leader are the Belgians, and they crashed out of corner 12, so their last couple of corners weren't exactly quick.
The aerodynamic profile, the driver sitting in. Ooh, that's not good. Now she's going to be late on 10. She's going to have to pull hard on 11. Let's see her come out of 11. 12. Oh, she caught up.
And she still has a second in hand. She recovered well from that.
She made a pretty good mistake in 9.
Well, there's Ava on the right and Wendy on the left of your picture. And our new leaders, Romania 2, for Maria Constantine into the leaders box for the first time in her life.
You know, the rough rides smooth rides aren't the fastest rides. It's the rough rides sometimes are the fastest. If you watch this picture here, 9. Look at her go up above the runner marks. Now watch here. Now watch her come down to the flat. I mean, bang. And this sled's out of control. And this is where it's about 77 miles an hour. Here's the exit of 9. Now watch her come up. See how high she is next to the wood. See, she's a little too high in that point, and then she comes across. And that's what she hit on the left side, caused the skid. It gets quick down there.
It does get quick, comes at you real fast. So Romania lead now as we get our next Belgian sled. This is Elfie Willemsen with her brand new brakewoman, Hannah Marion, behind her. Hannah making her World Cup debut for Belgium.
On a track and field background.
Yeah. It seems not to be 60-meter, 100-meter sprinters in women's bobsled, but the more athletes like decathlon or heptathlon or 400 meters hurdles seem to bring that combination of power and speed.
But it takes 2 to push the sled. And Elfie is, you know, the start time has been her nemesis, 5:91.
Again, that's 1100
slower. Well, I think the ice has got to have changed.
Well, there's been something unusual here, John. There's been sun on the start area, not rain, and that may well be slowing it down.
Yeah, because we saw some, you know, with a track record at the start, like 5 teams broke it. And I don't know if we're going to see the great start times in the second one. Of course, the weather here in Winterberg, there's so much moisture in the air. The way the weather moves in and out of here, it changes the conditions of the ice and affects the race.
Well, now these two sleds, Romania the leaders and Belgium you're looking at now, were exactly tied in the first heat. 600s between them.
Some pretty good lines. He's late.
A little late.
Boy,
gets it back. 128.8 is just enough to hold the lead. Belgium go into the lead with 16 sleds to go, but just a few hundreds. 57.98.
Look at the aerodynamic cowling. Look, that's a little different. That looks like it's a different design than we've seen on the other Belgium sled.
Is that an FES sled?
Yeah, sort of.
It has the look of it.
Yeah, sort of that. See that cowling on the left that sort of throws the air differently across the helmet. Look at the feet. Spikes come across the ice, and then the athleticism to get in, get down, hit the push bar. There's a little mechanism in there, brings the push bar down. That doesn't always work.
There are your leaders. Lots of rowdy crowds down at the bottom and up at the top. Caroline Spani of Switzerland has been racing in Europe so far this season, now joins the World Cup Tour as we complete the North American swing and begin the European season. She's got Michelle Huvela behind her, who again is a new brakewoman added to this Swiss program.
So 8th best start time in the run, 5:69, should be like 5:75 or 76. 5:81, so 1,200 slower. So the start track's slower up there. We're going to see some
seem to be, yeah.
600, 700, 800, 1,000 slower. We're going to see that a lot as this event unfolds in front of us. And, you know, she didn't have that bad a drive down the track in the first run. Of course, she started 16th in the second seed. Doesn't have that fresh ice to work with.
This is a good-looking run. Again, listen to how quiet the sled is on the ice. No taps from the wall. City
of Sleds, the conglomerate of Swiss industrial companies that pooled their resources and built about 8 sleds before the 2010 games for the Swiss program. And that's late.
Oh, and very late.
Late here. That's a rough ride.
Yeah, rocks
and
rolls.
Lost a lot of time, and 2 kilometers down. This could be close.
Oh, wow, look at that. That cost her
0.2
of a second. She was a 10th up, went to a 10th back,
you know,
just from the labyrinth.
She was hanging on, and you know, when you're hanging on like that, you're really steering those D-rings. And when you steer sideways across the ice, even at 75 miles an hour, still races time. She was 2 kilometers down in speed at the finish. Here's where it starts. Curve 10, late, taps the walls, puts us there in the middle of 11. Now she's really late here. And if you're late there, you're really late here. And she's looking at a part of real estate you don't want to look at on that track. Late, and she luckily comes across. Look at the way the heads are snapping. It's almost airborne there. And that leaderboard, look at the Eric Allard, the coach on the right. He's not very happy with his athlete's performance.
So it is Belgium that leads. As we get now to Australia's Astrid Radjenovic and Fiona Harrison, originally a Sydney sider, now lives in the God Zone in Queensland, state capital of Brisbane.
Come on.
Her father-in-law behind her.
Okay. Go.
Coach of the Aussies and of the Serbian team.
Start time, Astrid does pretty good with the downtimes. There she's driving a Latvian, BCT Latvian sled. It's out of her old light green sled that she's been driving on tour last year and this year. Just gives up so much time at the start. You know, the 5:82 start, you're going to see the Americans broke the record. Alana Meyer started 5:55 in the first run. She'll start 63 or 64 in the second run, but, you know, if you're 100 behind at the top of the track, you'll be 300s behind at the bottom. So all things being equal, the start on a short 1,300-meter track like this in Winterberg has got more of an importance than it does like a track in Whistler.
This is a good-looking run from Astrid. She had 1,400s over the Belgians from the first heat. She's more than doubled that.
Real
Can
smooth.
she keep the speed at the bottom?
Real smooth lines here. 129 kilometers.
Good speed.
Good speed. Keep your eyes on that speed. That's a telltale sign of the sport. The Belgians wave goodbye. The Australians say it's okay. 57.78. I think that's
just over a tenth of a second slower than her first run. I don't think the speed is
slower.
Still there in the track, but that was a neat and tidy run. Don't forget, she's never driven this sled before this week, so she had 6 runs in training, and that's her 8th run she's now completed.
There's Matthias Hoffner, the German coach, who are helping out the Australians.
Yeah.
A little solidarity there.
Well, you know, you got to love the Aussies, haven't you? Because they just put heart and soul into it.
Look at the lines. She's a good driver. Speed, though, before Kreisel, she didn't have great speed. That's relative to her start time, but she at least didn't make any mistakes up top where it was slow. She had the 4th best speed entering the Kreisel, but through the Kreisel, she gets those good lines, and she's got the 3rd best speed on the exit of the Kreisel. That talks about your driving ability. Obviously, she's got one.
Well, she was telling me this is a totally different thing. It's almost not like a bobsled compared to her old sled, so it's a world of difference. Anastasia Tambov-Seva of Russia now, the Russia 2 sled in 14th spot after the first heat. Only 800s in front of Australia, who currently lead.
82 on the first run, 5:82.
So they didn't even start as quick as the Aussie girls.
5:82 again in the second run. At least they're consistent. Speed, that speed's a pretty good thing to use for your box score. Speed will tell you, you can have a great start time, but if you get in the sled wrong, you won't have great speed. So it's we talk about the start, the power and athleticism of the start, then you have to get in with cat-like movements and get down and get yourself registered in that sled for a nice hellacious ride down to the bottom.
Just starting to creep away from the Aussies. 800s at the start, they're now 1,400s up.
Good lines compared to her first run. She's pretty sloppy, especially 9:10. She's got a lot of experience, been on the circuit for 3 years, comes from a luge background. Good speed, almost 130 kilometers. That's the speed needed, and she bests the Australians as expected.
Well, she takes the lead. Former start record holder when she was a brake woman as Olga Fedorova. Now, beg your pardon, that's Olga Stulneva, who's yet to come up. Anastasia Tambov-Seva has the lead of the race with 13 of our 20 sleds still to come.
They got to hit that together. I talked about the brakeman should have the head locked in, shouldn't be going back and forth, left or right. Look at the feet. These spikes, 375 of them, 1/16 of an inch. That gives you your grip across the ice. Then you got to jump in there. It's almost like you got to be a gymnast to get in that thing. I mean, that's not easy to do at 20 miles an hour.
We saw their coach Malcolm Lloyd criticizing or critiquing their start, and he will be looking at bringing more speed to that Russian program. Next up, USA's Jasmine Fenlater, second quickest start in the whole field with Asia Evans, but just about every mistake that she had desperately tried not to make came and found her out. This has got to be a tidier run. It can't be any worse.
5:57 start in the first run. Asia Evans has been very, very impressive in her debut here in the sport of bobsledding. 5:64.
Again, there won't be many sleds that are quicker than that at the top of the track, and she's already avoided one of the mistakes in the first
now up
heat.
here, where she was sideways coming up here on our next camera.
There you go. This is what she knew she wanted to do in the first heat.
And she made another mistake here. Not today, not in this heat.
So she was 4 mistakes clean now in this second run already.
She might be the only sled go quicker in the second run.
Yeah, 3,300s up.
She shouldn't have been down. She won a silver medal in the opening event in Lake Placid. Did well in Park City. Whistler a little off the pace late there. Skid in 10. See if she corrects at 11. Look at the head snapping. That means she's late. No, very good. Minus 40.
Good
First
speed.
athlete over 130 kilometers an hour, which is 81.1 miles an hour. 57.41. In the first heat, she went 57.42. She will be the only athlete who goes faster in the second heat than the first heat.
She may
And
well
that tells you how bad she did in the first heat. She could live in the leader's box for 4 or 5 more sleds.
Yeah, that first heat was a real throwaway that you wish you'd left in training. This second heat, so much tidier. Little late off corner 9, and then the dink on the wall that's corner 10. Through the labyrinth, she got it back under control. The sled did what she wanted, not what it wanted. That mistake, Todd Hayes seeing that, not liking that too much. However, Jasmine Fenlater and Asia Evans lead for the USA. Next up is Olga Stulneva of Russia. Yulia Timofeeva behind her. This is Russia 1, 12th place only after the first heat. That's really disappointing for the Russians.
This used to be Olga Fedorova, and track and field athletes will remember she won an Olympic silver medal at the Athens Olympic Games in the 4x100 relay. Now made the cross into bobsledding. It's her 3rd year driving. She was a former brakeman. Great athlete, and the Russian program in women's bobsledding, they are really targeting her as the person to have a chance to win a medal on her home track in Sochi.
Do you know
2014 games.
John, she's going to need to improve an awful lot between now and then, because at the moment she can't even crack the top 10 in the World Cup.
Yeah, she's struggled in her 3rd year. You know, and not everybody, just because you're a great athlete, you could push the sled. There's certain talent that you have as a driver. You know, not everybody's got it, you know, and it's the same thing in any part of athleticism. You know, there's people that certainly have that talent, and there's people that don't.
Well, she's 1200s in the lead over the USA. Hasn't got
Very
the
surprised.
speed at the same time.
No, she's got it, though.
Just enough to hold on. There's Jasmine on the left, Asia on the right. Well, Malcolm Lloyd looks moderately happy with that. 57.40.
That's a good run for her.
Yeah.
I really thought Jasmine Fenlater would beat her. I was in error there, so that's either a very, very good run for...
Well, it was much better from Stulneva. She should have been in the top 10, like Jasmine after the first heat. But, you know, this is such a short track, John. If you make one mistake, you're just dead and buried. And there goes the Russian towards the leader's box. And next up comes junior world champion Paula Walker for Great Britain. Now, disappointing crash in training. Only 11th in the first heat, like Jasmine. Far too many mistakes that she knows shouldn't have crept in. And
well, 7th best start, too. So.
One of the keys here, John, is consistency. You've got to get 2 good runs, because you can't drop one. There's Olga on the left, Yulia on the right. Well, Paula Walker, junior world champion. Jill Cook won the women's world championship behind Nikki Minicello a few years back as well. So 2 world champs on this sled.
You know, Paula, one of the tallest, is the tallest female driver. Jillian's got a track and field background. Ooh, that was a real rough turn around that first curve that I'm sure will really, you know, erase a lot of time. Start 5:70.67 to 5:69. The start wasn't bad. 1200's lead, and look at she's a tall girl. Now look at her eyes. You don't see the bottom part of her helmet. And we're going to see some people come down the track, some of the drivers, we can see the bottom part of the helmet, and that's a wrong aerodynamic profile. Paula's got it right on. She's got the sled perfectly. Her head, her eyes are barely above this caliper.
And she's 5'11". You know, some of these girls are 5'3" and 5'4", and you see more of their heads showing.
Yeah, she's really good on a 9, 10. Watch for the head slapping. That's late on her off the curves. Look how smooth that is. Oh, she hit
130 is good speed, enough to keep her in the lead.
Take on there right before.
And she gets it by a tenth of a second, 57.33 over the Russians. She was only
slower than her first run.
She was only 300s in front of them in the first heat, but that's not enough, I don't think, to put her too much further up the order.
Usually this track's pretty easy to predict, but there's the start again. Look at the hands, again the feet, up and in. And then Jillian gets in behind her. Look at the way the arms come up over the head. That's all a practice technique, you know, to make the transition in there so you can grab the D-rings and, you know, your foot can go in there and grab those D-rings and cause a problem.
And that's because the sled is narrower than your shoulders. Paula Walker leads, 10 to go here in Winterberg. Stay with us for more action right after this.
Thank you. Switch back to the pitch. Okay, 2, 3.
Die Halbzeit liegt hinter uns. Die besten 10 kommen jetzt als nächste. Kanada 2, Jennifer Chukeli, Kate O'Brien.
Welcome back to Winterberg. You can see the Dutch fans are already lining the track, as well as the Germans, as we get down into the final 10 sleds. World Cup number 4 of the women's bobsleigh tour. Martin Haven and John Morgan in the booth. In the winner's box on the right, Paula Walker, the driver, on the left, Jill Cook, her brakewoman. Now let's see if they can climb any further up the order. This is 27-year-old Jennifer Cicchetti from Calgary in Canada.
Cicchetti, a world championship brakeman last year for Kaylee Humphreys. She's one of the 4 or 5 athletes we're going to see here coming up who have all made the transition from the driver's seat, from the brakeman seat up to the driver's seat. And you take that great athleticism and put it up in the front seat, that gives you a great chance to win at the bottom.
A little tap at the top of the track takes away some of her great starting speed. 1300ths of a second lead over Paula Walker, the current leader.
The athleticism of women's bobsledding has really accelerated the last couple of years, and it's because of all these brakemen that decided to drive. And at the start times, as you're going to see, I mean, there's some really great female athletes coming up here that are driving. Not to say that the other ones weren't, but at the level now is a big improvement from 5 years ago.
600ths of a second in the lead, and now she drops behind. 128.5, Paula Walker was 130 at the bottom. 57.51, the rookie drops back, so Paula Walker makes it into the top 10. Graham Richardson looking a little disappointed. Shake of the head from Jennifer Cacchetti.
Well, she had the best start time so far of all the sleds that come down. You'll hear a little bit more out of her as she improves. She's a great athlete. And when you put those great athletes in the front seat, you give her a chance for the best time at the bottom.
Well, John, she started her driving career last year, just did a couple of World Cup races before going back onto the brakes. So she's got lots to learn.
See her in Kreisel, or the nice lines. After Kreisel, the speed, the 8th best speed. And that tells you right there why she fell 2 places. Paula Walker with the best speed. That's why she's still in the leader's box, and she might still move up another. It's Cicchetti on the right. O'Brien on the left.
Next up, Kathleen Martini of Germany. Only 9th place for the girl from Saxony, from Zwickau. Altenburg, her home track, but of course, she's a German athlete. She'll have grown up on tracks like this one. The question is, can she find some pace? Again, she made so many uncharacteristic errors in the first run.
573 start, which 575, 576 maybe, the way things have been going. 76, perfect. She tapped there in the first run. But you know, I think the rest of the field has just caught Kathleen Martini. She's probably got as many gold medals. Sandra Carrias is the only other athlete in the field who's got more gold medals on the World Cup than Kathleen Martini. But the other athletes have better opportunities to start the sled. You know, and in the short 1,300 meter tracks here, she can't challenge because she doesn't have that start. Again, another proof that the maturation of women's bobsledding is really starting to happen here, 12 years into when the sport made its Olympic debut.
Well, good lines this time from Martini, but she's still only 300s ahead. Now she finds the piece.
There's the speed. This is what you expect out of her, but in a short track, ducks her head for aerodynamics right at the finish line. Coach, he's not happy.
Out of the Kreisel, it looked like she was going to go behind Paula Walker. Well, that's because she finally gets it together.
Well, Paula had a 700s better start time. And that's where that equalizer comes up. That slingshot effect on the bottom part of the Kreisel. Good drivers can nail it and pick up time on the bottom. And this is one of the best drivers that have ever come down the track in women's bobsled. Look at the lines here. You talk about her abilities. Look at the brakeman, the G-forces, the bouncing around, perfectly set in the back. And here on the exit, look at the runner tips. Look at that exit of the curve right down the middle. Comes over to the right side of the screen. Look at her helmet. She's barely above the cowling of the eye. She got the dark visor on. That's Martini on the left.
Lisette Turner, her brakewoman. Next up, Jamie Grubel from Arlington, Massachusetts, 29 years old now, with Emily Azevedo behind her. This is USA 3 sled, so all the 3 US sleds in the top 8 after the first heat.
Jamie, one of the 2 US sleds that crashed in training. And, you know, she's heptathlete from Cornell University. There's a number of Cornell University athletes on the team over the last few years. Track and field. A lot of track and field athletes coming out to this sport, Martin.
Well, you know, of course, one of the things with track and field is we've just had an Olympic Games in the summer, so there's 4 years to the next one. Are you still going to be at peak when it gets to the next Olympic Games in Rio? If you're not, maybe it's time to look at another event where you could peak.
Asia Evans has already been down, and of course Lolo Jones and Tiana Madison are not competing in this race. They'll be in the team competition later today. But the USA is very deep in athletes, and that's why they've got great starts. And this is a good drive. Got a good quarter-second lead, which is what she had. Good speed on the bottom.
Getting away
so
from her
Jamie
a little.
Grubel will be the leader on the bottom part of the track. Guarantees herself a top 8 finish.
Decent run as well. 57.10. Few hundreds quicker than her first heat, and she did tidy a few mistakes up.
Yeah, 5:62 start. Yeah. Emily Azevedo from Chico, California, the veteran who was on Bree Schaaf's sled at the 2010 games where they finished 5th. She's the most experienced brakeman that the U.S. team have.
Well, they got another great start and a good drive too.
Good to lines. Jamie, a lot of movement around the front of that sled, though. She might not be settled in there. Maybe get more comfortable. Watch the head here. See, there's a lot of head movement going side to side, and when you deal with hundredths of seconds, it doesn't sound like much, but second best speed only to Martini, and there's nothing wrong with that. Martini's one of those people we call speed merchants. You get Martini on those tracks with his 1,500 meters, she can really, really find time at the bottom. There's the leaders.
Jamie Grubel on the left, Emily Azevedo on the right, and at the top of the track, Fabienne Meyer of Switzerland with Elizabeth Graf behind her, a World Cup rookie on this Swiss sled. Watch Elizabeth's leg speed on the back of this sled. She gets the shoulders low, the head is buried, she drives the sled out of the starting blocks.
Start time, 5:75, 5:74 in the first run. Now she's 61.3. That little telltale sign on the left gives you a lot of indication. We call it the box score, like keeping track of a baseball game in a box score. That's 11 hundredths down, but boy, she found a lot of time in the first run on the bottom part of the track. She's coming off a silver medal in Whistler, which is one of the best Swiss finishes in women's bobsledding in about 8 years.
Top speed, 93.7 kilometers an hour. Now is where she needs to close the gap. 99.2.
Boy, that's huge.
Only a little.
Perfect.
131 she needs at the bottom to take the lead of this race away from Jamie Grubel.
This is fast lines down to 8. Doesn't have the
Not
131.
enough.
I don't think it's going to be enough.
I don't think so either. It'll be Jamie Grubel that leads. She moves up one. 97.25, a 57.25 slide.
Coach's silver medal in the last event in Whistler, but that was a 1,450 meter track. This is only 1,300 meters. When you give up that much time at the start, it's tough to overcome that deficiency on the short track here in Winterberg.
Well, Fabienne will be looking forward to the World Championships, as are we all, in St. Moritz in Switzerland. But it is Jamie Grubel that leads this race with 6 to go, including 3 women who broke the track record in the first heat this morning. First of those is Esme Campers, the 29-year-old from the Netherlands. Judith Vis behind her. She was first out of the start shed this morning. John blew the track record out of the water. We knew then, what we'd suspected earlier, that we were in for a fast day on the ice.
Camphouse, a doctor by trade, driving one of the Eurotech sleds, which is Eurotech sells sleds also to the Canadians. Dutch company with an auto racing background.
Well, you see the parallels between Eurotech and Bodine, don't you? They got into sport in different ways, but they bring the same experience to bear.
Auto racing. Racing is racing. The only difference is we have no combustion here. We got a lot of human combustion, natural gravity.
Holding on to this 0.05 of a second lead.
She was the first person off the hill. She had the fresh ice to work with this morning, and she did well with it. She's falling back here, doesn't have 99 kilometer speed. She's going to need 130 and change to have a chance here on the bottom, which is 80 miles an hour. She doesn't have it. So I think Jamie Grubel of the United States is going to move up one more.
She is indeed. Into second place goes Esme Campos, and that's a top 6 finish for the USA.
Her best ever for Grubel.
And that ticks boxes for funding as well, I'm sure.
Yeah. That might be Jamie Grubel's best finish ever. And again, there's a little volley in place for the US 1, 2, and 3 designations as this season goes on. And you're right, it's all about funding.
Well, good run from Jamie Grubel in the second heat. 2 very big starts for her and Emily Azevedo. They stay in the leader's box with 5 to go.
Yeah, she beat Campos by 600ths at the start and only 300ths at the bottom. Look at them hit the bar. They want to hit at the same time. We look at the brakeman. We'd like to see the brakeman's head because you can see that they're to right. The feet, again, those Adidas spikes can allow you to get the grip to run across the ice, and then the athleticism to jump in there. It's not easy. You will see during the season somebody catch their toes and tumble into the sled. Look at the American athletes.
Yeah, you know, we shouldn't have them on that hot metal hob down there, should we? Dancing around like a cat on a hot tin roof. So top 6 finish for them. Next up, Sandra Kyriasis lives here in Winterberg. This is her domain. At least it used to be. Sandra now 37 years old. You've got to believe that this is going to be her penultimate World Cup season. And a mistake into
disaster mistake. That's going to be hard to overcome.
Well, the moment she saw that, Jamie Grubel's heart will have leapt. To beat Kyriasis will be a big scalp.
That is a major mistake. She could overcome it. And look at, she's a tall girl. Look at how low she is in the sled. Look at her helmet. Doesn't wear the dark visor. She got the lighter one on today. 4 plus 4 plus 3. So now she's coming back. And this is where she's, you know, one of the best in the world the last 10 years. She is the best driver in the world the last 10 years. She's got more World Cup victories, and I don't think anybody else is going to catch her for a long time.
Not enough speed, 98.2. She needs to be over 131 in the finish corner to stand a chance.
Oh, no way.
No, too many mistakes. It's
Jamie
all slipping away. Jamie Grubel
can only dream of beating this girl on a German track. Wow. Look at the coach, Christoph Langen. He goes, this is the best pilot in the history of women's bobsledding making a rookie mistake before the first curve. She is going to be not a good interview today for ZDF.
Yeah. 57.01 in the first heat, John.
Look at the frustration. Yeah, she just went bang.
57.01 in the first heat, 57.42 in the second heat.
Well, the start's fine, you know, to get in, fine. And then watch the left side of our screen. Oh, did she catch the D-rings?
Yep.
I mean, you go in there and your foot might catch the D-rings of steering. You know, something happened there in the entry of the sled here in the labyrinth. She was late here, too. Watch the sled come off and hit the left side of our screen. Taps right before the take-on. Look at him. Look at him. That was after the first curve.
No Yarvol from Christoph Langen from that one. And Sandra looking at pretty downcast.
Boy, not a good day for the 2 most successful German pilots in women's bobsledding. They aren't going to finish in the medals. I think there's 1 German yet to go, though.
Jamie Grubel leads, 4 to go. Can she get a podium out of this? This is Christina Hengster of Austria, our reigning junior women's bobsleigh world champion.
Her nemesis is the start. 577 in the first run, 577 again, so she's already 200s behind Jamie Grubel. Jamie Grubel at 61.3 there. This will probably go to +5 or +6. And then Hengster had the best, look at that, +14. Hengster had the best speed in the bottom part of the track. But she's going to need to be perfect, and that little tap there was not perfect.
It's going, it'll be...
Here it comes. So she stopped the bleeding, +14 to +13. Bottom part of the track, this girl had magical lines. And she's going to need them here. Look how low she is in the sled.
99 kilometers an hour, the fastest speed we've seen, 61.6 miles an hour. Now she should come close to the lead.
Not going to have enough. 131 is going to be, I don't know,
very
single
close
digits.
Indeed. Jamie Grubel might just hold on. She does. Now she is going to be a good interview afterwards. 57.31 she leads. Esme Campos second as Christina Hengster slumps to 4th.
That guarantees the United States a medal because there's another United States to come, and Jamie Grubel's in 4th.
Jamie Grubel in 4th place. She leads now with 3 sleds to go.
Hengster always does better in the first run. Her performance always seems to fall off in the second run.
She needs to have coffee between the runs. That's what it is.
Well, the mistake was up top. Now watch this little tap here to the left side. You can't, you have to be quiet up here. You can't do that. I mean, look at this little tiny tap. But that tap forces her down to the middle of the next curve, the take-on, and that means she's got to steer a little bit more. You know, she lost by what? 300s?
No, she dropped down to 4th. 800s
off. That might have been it right there.
Well, there is the Austrian flag, but next up we'll see more red and white, but with a maple leaf in it. This is the Olympic champion, Kaylee Humphries. Last 5 World Cup races this season, and last she's been undefeated. Chelsea Valois won in Lake Placid on her debut. Does not know what it's like not to win in a bobsleigh.
Start, she's one of the best in the world, 57 in the first run. 58 in the second round. That means the start track still got something left in it. She's one of the 6 Canadian athletes they're voting on to be the Athlete of the Year in Canada. CBCSports.ca's got a promotion going on. And of course, she's won the last 6 races she's been in. So, and that's one of the best streaks I've ever seen in the sport. I don't think she's familiar with being in second, third place here at the end of a run. She could put down a big run here, get in the leader's box, and tell everybody else, come and get me.
Well, we're saying third place like it's a mile away. She was 0.05 of a second off the leader in the first heat. This could not be closer.
She's losing time back to Grubel, and she had a better start time than Grubel. Tells you how good a run that Jamie Grubel of the United States had. But now she's losing more time back. She taps, doesn't have the speed, but should be enough.
It'll be enough to keep her in the lead,
bronze.
but the run is not as quick as Jamie Grubel's. Jamie came down 57.10. So she only survives on her first round advantage. Is that enough to win her a race?
I'll tell you this, though. That's the first time Jamie Grubel's ever beat Kaylee Humphries at the bottom of a bobsled track.
Hey.
And this is the Olympic champion.
Yeah.
She's won 6 straight races. I don't think she's going to win her 7th today. But, I mean, these are 2 great athletes right here. Look at the leg drive, turnover. Now watch this power step into the sled. You want to get in and get over the top. Watch this last step. Up, in, hit that little mechanism, brings that push bar down. The speed. Now look at that. Camphouse didn't have as good a start as Humphries, but she had better speed around that first curve. That means that Camphouse and her brakeman had a better load into the sled and no skidding around the first curve. Humphries might have made a little bit of a skid there.
Well, there is Kaylee, and just obscure behind her, Chelsea. 2 to go. Alana Myers and Anja Schneider-Heinze both broke the track record in their first heat. Alana with Katie Eberling behind her. And Alana, 28-year-old, originally from Georgia, now lives and works at Lake Placid at Order.
These are 2 great athletes, 5:55 in the first run. They broke the track record at the start. In the second run, 5:57. Little tap there. 61.7. Great speed. That's the speed the Dutch had, and better than the Canadians. Even though the Canadians had the equal start time. 5-7. Lana crashed in practice earlier this week. This is the former brakeman that won a bronze medal at the 2010 games. She's lost some time back, doesn't have great speed here in Kreisel.
But don't forget, this is not about trying to beat Kaylee Humphries. This is about trying to beat the last sled, Germany's Anja Schneider-Heinze.
She's going to fall back unless she has perfect lines and needs the big speed on the bottom of 131.
What can she find? 400's
back. She's going to fall back 1.
Kaylee Humphries leads at the end of this heat.
Streak is still alive.
57.25 slide for Alana Myers. She's in second place, guarantees herself a medal.
She's happy with that. I mean, she's still fighting. Yeah. She's inexperienced compared to Humphries.
This is her third season now she is of World Cup driving.
She just beat Martini.
Yeah. Out of sight. Martini 7th, Kiriasis 8th. They're only just going to be in the top 10.
You know, she beat the 2 German legends on a German track. Everybody said the Americans aren't going to be able to compete with the Germans on their home track. Surprise.
Well, the Americans are, the Swiss are, the Dutch are, the Austrians are, and the Canadians are.
The women's bobsledding has really improved. The diversity of the countries that can now compete compared to 5 years ago. Different world for women's bobsled now. Athleticism.
Having said that, Kaylee Humphries leads. The last sled to go is Germany's hope of a victory here. This is Anja Schneider-Heinze. Lowered the track record by half a second this morning. She and Stephanie Schneider only had the 4th quickest start as well. So it's not just the athleticism, it's what's between the ears that counts.
And what have I said about former brakeman coming to the driver's seat? This is the 2006 Olympic Games gold medalist as a brakeman for Germany. And this is her coming out party. If she can win here on the track in Winterberg, she will be Germany 1, but she makes a mistake right there. Another tap. Look at the speed in the left. 61 what? 61.6. That's good speed,
but not the best.
Those couple taps, but you know, she had a great drive down the track in the first run. Very surprising. She started 11th and came away with that track record in the lead. Oh, there's another tap. You heard it.
She's 400ths behind. It'll be 10/100ths of a second by the next clock.
Kaylee Humphries has won 6 races in a
Only
row.
500. She's still got speed to give away. 93 kilometers an hour is very good.
Humphries is at the bottom, can only look on. 9, she's fallen away more. Doesn't have 99-kilometer speed.
She needs high 131s in the final corner to stand a chance of this gold medal. 1200s behind, it's drifting away. 129.5. Kaylee Humphries will win again. It's her 6th consecutive World Cup win. Chelsea Valois has still never lost in a bobsled. And Christoph Langen sees Anja Schneider-Heinze come not first, but third. She bangs her head in dismay. Yeah, too many mistakes. 3, maybe 4 that we can see. I'm sure she could document another couple. But Anja Schneider-Heinze has the gold medal slipped from her grasp. Well, Stephanie Schneider closest to us. Anja takes the helmet off. Do you know what? She normally has a huge smile, and it's almost still there. Because if you don't laugh, you're going to cry. Not too much wrong with the start, but the mistakes crept in immediately. And in this sport, in this sliding sport, 2 heats count. They've both got to be perfect. Tiny tap there. Bounces off 1. Another double tap on the wall. That's not enough to take too much out of the sled. She could still have won if that was the only mistake, but it wasn't. Well, there is Chelsea Valois. There is Kaylee Humphries with the scarf. And they win again. 4 straight this season. Well, the last 2 races of last year in Canada fell to her as well, and the World Championships in the interim. So 6 straight World Cup races plus the World Championships. The Olympic champion is on searing form at the moment. She's still got enough to get away with the odd mistake. But she made less errors than anyone else and jumped from 3rd to 1st. Only 800ths covered the podium positions in the first heat. Graham Richardson, happy Afro boy there with Sven from Eurotech. So Kaylee Humphries wins for Canada, USA 2nd with Alana Myers, and Germany's best hope, Anja Schneider-Heinze, the first round leader, in 3rd place. Jamie Grubel, what a run for her, 4th position, ahead of Esme Campus, and Christina Hengster and Fabian Meyer of Switzerland and Austria are tied together, ahead of Kathleen Martini and Sandra Kiriasis, neither of whom have got much to smile about this afternoon. Stay with us for more after this.
Paul, wenn es Namen. Anja.
Schüssel Luft. Hallo, Fettins Fasslauf. Das neue alkoholfreie Erfrischungsgetränk mit wenig Kalorien in der isotonischen Geschmacksrichtung Zitrone und der fruchtigen Sorte Holunder. Nur war gestern. Heute ist Fettins Fasslause.
Good job.
Welcome back to a snowy Winterberg in Germany, where the 4th FIBT Wiesmann World Cup women's bobsleigh race of the season has seen Kaylee Humphries keep her 100% winning record alive. She came from 3rd to victory. She leads Sandra Kyriasis, who only managed to post a 9th place finish in these World Cup rankings. Alana Myers finished in 2nd place here, closes on Kyriasis, 3rd in the season standings. And Jamie Grubel, big result for her today, jumps up in front of Jasmine Fenlater into 7th in the World Cup standings, all 3 US sleds in that top 10. Well, Kaylee Humphries and Chelsea Valois teamed up at the beginning of the season. Chelsea, on the off chance, ran Canadian bobsled to see whether they might be interested in trying her out. She got promoted quickly into the back of the Olympic champion sled. She has not yet lost a race as a partner to Kaylee Humphries. Doesn't know what 2nd feels like. Here they are. Let's get down to John Morgan with our winners.
Okay, giving away the flowers here today in Winterberg, Wilfred Emeda, the vice president of the FIBT. Flowers come out. That's a tradition here that they do.
Thank you. Okay. 3.
Second place for Alana Myers and Katie Eberling.
Just have to kind of keep going.
And 1st place, Kaylee Humphries has her, the Germans have theirs. But the big tradition here in Winterberg is everybody looks forward to is when they bring out the big Veltins beers and gives them away. So that's the big tradition here. Veltins, the local brewery here that has sponsored bobsled luge and skeleton for as long as they've been sliding here. Great tradition. And our bronze medalist, Anja, you're happy with your performance?
Ja, die Läufe waren nicht so gut. Der zweite Verein habe ich mir ein bisschen selbst versaut. Aber wir sind glücklich. Podest, erste Blatt, also erste Mal diese Saison. Macht mich glücklich und jetzt kann es weitergehen.
Well, she's not happy with her driving. She felt she could have done better, but she's very happy that she's on the podium. Congratulations. Now over to 2nd place. Alana, Katie, nice job. Start time, start record. You come out of here, and you got to be happy with both your trips. You were clean.
Very happy. My struggles this season have been consistency, so to have 2 pretty good trips, I'm pretty happy. And Katie did awesome pushing me.
Awesome is an understatement. It's track record at the start. Congratulations. Now, okay, you were in 3rd place in the first heat. First time you've been beat in a long time in any heat. And now you come behind. Now you've won 7 straight events. Your brakeman's never lost. Are you going to keep this up?
I hope so. That's the plan. That's our goal. We pushed really well today. We focus on individual goals, pushing and getting that more consistent, especially for Chelsea. This is her 4th World Cup. So just focused on pushing better, focused on having a good run, driving consistent. I've never come top 8 before here. So going into 3rd run, yeah, definitely. 3rd run, it was close, and I knew it was going to come down to consistency. It always does here, but it feels amazing.
Maybe this will push you over the top, be the Canadian Athlete of the Year. Congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations to Kaylee Humphries, never been in the top 6 before. She wins here to keep her streak alive. Alana Myers, great drive. And Anja Schneider-Heinze, she said 1st drive was great, 2nd drive not quite good enough. The gold medal slipped from her grasp in Winterberg. And that is it then for Wiesmann FIBT World Cup number 4 of the season. Next week we are in La Plagne in France, a longer track, a very different nature. Will Kaylee Humphries make it 5 in a row? Only one way to find out. Join us then. Till then, from everybody here in Winterberg, it's goodbye for now.